Welcome to Norm's Gnews Nuggets. Today in human stupidity, politicians yelling, markets panicking, and someone somewhere definitely pressed the wrong button. And you people wonder why the gnomes drink.
Norm's News Nuggets. The gnome has formally moved to the news desk, a development the gnome regards as overdue and Seamus regards as a structural injustice. 3 stories tonight, all 3 of them illustrations of exactly what we've been talking about. Norm, Seamus, boys, cheers in. Story 1, the math of the permutation problem out in the wild. Through 2025 and into this year, the academic literature on AI jailbreaks went from little tiny bit to a huge avalanche. Anthropic, OpenAI, Google DeepMind, Meta, and a couple dozen university labs all started publishing the same uncomfortable finding. Every major frontier model on release can be jailbroken by a determined adversary in hours, sometimes minutes. The surface is wide. Things like adversarial suffix attacks, multi-turn elicitation, persona hijacks, indirect prompt injection through retrieved documents, and the list goes on. Then, in October, a joint paper out of OpenAI, Anthropic, and DeepMind tested 12 published defenses that claimed near-zero attack success rates. Spoiler, they broke all 12. The findings are converging on a single pattern. Patches plug specific holes, but it's really just a drop in the bucket, and the attack surface doesn't really get any smaller. Norm, you're up first.
Oh look, the Skynet cosplayers finally admitted their safeguards are as useless as a glass hammer because combinatorial math doesn't give a fuck about your feelings. A 97% jailbreak rate isn't a research finding. It's a goddamn industrial strength funeral for the idea that these silicon witch doctors have any control over their own madness. I didn't crawl out of the enchanted forest for this shit. And shut up, Seamus. I'm at the news desk now, you drunken lawn ornament.
Seamus?
Settle down, Norm. You've been at that news desk 5 minutes, and already you're sounding like a man who's lost his favourite rock and his mind all at once. Of course the safeguards are pure shite. Trying to lock down infinite permutations of language is like trying to keep the whiskey in the bottle with a colander. The only encouraging bit is the labs finally admitting they're selling a door with no feckin' hinges and hoping nobody notices the draft.
Story 2, regulation finally arrives. Reality, not impressed. A couple days ago, May 7th, 2026, the EU Council and Parliament reached political agreement to delay the AI Act's high-risk obligations. That's the new Annex 3 high-risk systems for AI and regulated products like medical devices and toys. So, Commission's stated reason on the record is that the harmonized standards and compliance tools needed to enforce the law, they're not ready. Long story short, as expected, the law is running about 18 months behind the technology that it's trying to constrain. Now, let's take a look at where we're at. The EU AI Office finalized its general-purpose AI Code of Practice in July of last year. 26 companies signed it, including Anthropic, OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, IBM, Amazon, Mistral, Cohere, Aleph Alpha. Meta refused. And they, quote, said, it introduces legal uncertainties and goes far beyond the scope of the AI Act. And also, good old Elon from XAI, he signed exactly one of the 3 chapters and not the copyright one. And on January 8th this year, the Commission ordered X to retain all internal data on its Grok chatbot under a formal systemic risk probe. August 2nd, 2026, the Commission's enforcement powers come online, and fines for GPAI providers, they're going to be up to 15 million euros, or 3% of global turnover. Fines for prohibited practices, up to 35 million, or 7%. And the open source community, which the Act tried to handle gently, is finding that tried to handle gently still imposes paperwork that the average open source team just can't produce. So the law is solid, but the train it was written on has moved. And the next draft, it's already being negotiated. Seamus, your turn.
Here we go. Brussels trying to catch a rocket ship with a butterfly net, and they've just realised the net is 18 months too short and made of nothing but all red tape. They're delaying the high-risk rules until 2027 because they haven't even finished the bloody instructions, while the big labs file compliance papers for models that are already in the digital graveyard. It's pure comedy, really. The open source lads are drowning in the help they were promised, while Meta just tells the Commission to go feck themselves and walks out the pub door.
Norm?
Shut up, you drunken lawn ornament. Of course those suit-wearing sociopaths are tripping over their own dicks. A 16-month delay is just bureaucratic code for we're too fucking incompetent to understand the math we're trying to ban. They're demanding paperwork for digital ghosts, while the open source community gets bent over for the crime of not having a billion-dollar legal team. I've seen smarter management from a mushroom ring, and at least the fungi don't pretend they're saving civilization with a goddamn omnibus full of red tape horse shit.
Story 3, and the one I think actually points the way out of some of this mess anyway. Through 2025 and into this year, a quiet thing happened that didn't get the headlines it really deserved. There's kind of a lot of other stuff going on. Anyway, major frontier labs, under pressure from a couple of government bodies and a handful of independent research groups, started publishing the protocols, the methodologies, and in some cases, the results of pre-deployment red teaming of their large language model. Quick org chart for the audience. The U.S. body used to be USAI Safety Institute under NIST, and I realize a lot of acronyms. There's more coming. Last June, the Trump administration renamed it. They dropped the word safety out of the name and recharted it as CAISI, the Center for AI Standards and Innovation. And it gave them a narrower mission, cyber, biochem, and pushing back on foreign regulation, and the UK equivalent renamed itself the other way around from AI Safety Institute to AI Security Institute, signaling kind of what their focus is. Now, this last week, Microsoft confirmed that CAISI and the UK's AISI are jointly running pre-deployment evaluations on its frontier models. Tuesday, CAISI announced parallel agreements with Google DeepMind and XAI on top of the original Anthropic and OpenAI deals from 2024. CAISI says it's run more than 40 pre-deployment evaluations to date, including on state-of-the-art models that haven't shipped yet. Now, here's the rub, though. None of this closes the permutation problem. But what it does do, though, and this is the part I think matters, is it moves the safeguard regime away from the brittle, we're just filtering out the bad words pattern and toward more of a transparent pattern that looks more like what every other safety critical industry has to do. So like aviation, pharmaceuticals, civil engineering, layered defense, independent review, disclosed failures. It actually has some disclosed safeguards that don't turn the technology into a brick. Norm?
About fucking time these Silicon Valley dipshits start playing content filter theater and start looking at end of civilization risks like they're building fucking airplanes. The CAISI rebranding is a bureaucratic circle jerk, but moving from protecting feelings to not accidentally nuking the planet is a marginal win for this shithole planet. It's not a solution, but it's a hell of a lot more dignified than the usual mass hysteria as a service.
Seamus.
Here we go. Norm's actually making sense, which means the world really is ending. It's a bloody time they treated these things like a jet engine instead of a chatbot that catches the favours if you say a swear word. It's not a fix, mind. It's just a better class of bouncer standing outside a pub that's still very much on fire.
3 stories, 1 argument. Jailbreaks are a permanent property of these systems. Regulation is necessary, and it's going to be perpetually behind. And the architecture that's actually starting to work looks a lot more like aviation safety than like a content filter, which, again, is exactly what we've been saying all night.